I'm supposed to be one of America's leading behavioral management specialists. I ran, one of America's, California's leading behavioral management firms, working with the who's who of American business. And then I discovered that my own relationship with my middle daughter wasn't as great as I thought.
Yeah.
And that, it's honest. It is honest. But it also makes people trust me more because I'm not blabbing. Oh, I got to tell you this, do this, do this. Here are the 5 things you have to do and everything else. But they recognize me as a person. I'm human. And I'm saying, no, I'm not perfect,
So good.
but I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be a better dad, and I'm trying to share, help others do the same.
So
And
good.
by saying that, by admitting up front something honest about yourself, it makes it easier for people to trust you because they always say know, like, trust. Well, we do more than that, but I mean, you want people to don't artificially know, like, and trust you. You want them honestly to know, like, and trust you. And if you get to share, when you get to share something that's personal about yourself and how you got to where you are, I started here and I got, I could say, Tamra, were you always religious? I'm just okay.
Nope.
And then when you tell the story of, like, here's a transition and something happened to me and suddenly, that becomes really powerful to people.
Completely.
Because they recognize you as a human. They recognize me as a human. And it's one of the most powerful tools you have is setting expectation up front. In fact, in my book, I talk about the boxer Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
And he said, I am the greatest.
Yeah.
Okay. And he said, you know who had the greatest impact on? Me. Because if I'm telling the public I am the greatest, I better start thinking it through and working hard and figuring things out that other people don't figure out, because otherwise they're going to start laughing at me and just humiliate me.
Yes.
And so because he said that, it was important. But for all of us, it's important for us to define. I had this guy who had a shipping services company, okay?
Yeah.
As a franchise. And I said, so who's your ideal client? He said, anyone who ships. I said, I don't believe that. I said, and as I'm talking with him, he says, well, anyone between $5,000 who spends $5,000 to $50,000 a month on shipping. Less than $5,000, it's not that big a deal. More than $50,000, you could probably get a better deal from UPS and from shipping companies. But between $5,000 and $50,000, we can get you shippers. We can get a better price from UPS because it's all going through us. And so when he started calling people and saying, hey, I'm looking for people who ship between $5,000 and $50,000 a month, he said suddenly it became really and he was explaining, because if it was more than $50,000 a month, you could probably get a better price than me. It sounded really good. Yeah. It's honest.
So good.
And people were like, oh, okay. And he said, you can't believe how much easier it is to sell. And it's one of the things I focus on, which is like your opening pitch.
Yeah.
Your quick, I call it. Like, what in the first 30 seconds, can you say something where people go, so I know this guy, because I do work for a small business administration, volunteer work, and I had this guy who contacted me who has a nonprofit, and it's called Life Scholar Project.
Okay.
What's Life Scholar Project? So he's telling me this. So I said, tell me what you do. Blah, 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 blah. And it took 20 minutes before I finally went, oh, that's what you do. And so I created a pitch for him. I said, you need to tell people in the first few seconds what you do. So here's what they did. Life Scholar Project. I helped arrested, troubled kids become invested, stable adults, employed, deployed, and enjoyed.
Whoa, let's go.
He said, what is that? So now I just explained that he takes kids that get in trouble, somehow get arrested, and turn them into kids that actually get a reasonable job and their whole life gets set. Okay? And I was like, how can you not say that to people right up front? So I gave him that pitch. I have a new one. I said, there's a movie. I've never actually seen the movie, but I see lots of commercials for it. Say hello to my little kid, or say hello to my little friend. Right?
Yeah.
And I said, let's make that your slogan. Let's say hello to my little friend and say hello to my little friends.
Oh, that's so good.
And that's called anchoring, where you're taking something that already exists and you're anchoring it to something they know. There's actually, I record things off the History Channel, and so they had this guy Bobby Flay, his story, and I'm going, Bobby Flay, it kind of sounds familiar. I don't know who he is. Yeah. And then I realized as I'm watching it, oh yeah, he's a chef, a famous chef, but he came up with the title for his first show that made him a blockbuster. So it's, Boy Meets Girl.
Yeah.
It's the name of his show is Boy Meets Grill.
Ah, so good. So
And it
simple.
fixes the brain because it's already in the brain.
So
So it's,
good. So we just launched another podcast and we did this and without knowing that we were doing that, but we had conversation around it. It's called Girls Gone Holy from Girls Gone Wild. Right.
yeah, it's
And
fabulous.
we turn the
It's fabulous.
wild into the wilderness and how there is positivity in being wild for the Lord. And so it's fun for people. They're like, oh, what do you mean? Right? Like, tell me
Exactly.
more. And so that's such a cool strategy. I hadn't heard of the language behind it. I love words so much. And a while ago, I was finding myself in the exact same thing of people asking me what I did, and I would explain all the things because there's so many layers and it's so fun and I'm so passionate about it. And they would do the same thing. They're like, wow, that's a lot of stuff, right? And I'm like, man, I totally missed that opportunity. I just talked too much and I didn't ask a question. And so I was telling a friend, and my son, who at the time was 9, overheard me sharing that we got a new client. And he was like, people pay you? And I was like, oh no. I was like, yes, people pay me, baby. How do you think I have a business if people don't pay me? He's like, I don't know. I just thought you talked all day for a living. And I'm like, well, I sort of do. What do you think that I sell that somebody could buy? And he was like, words? I was like, technically, as a publisher, yeah, I sell words. Let's go a little deeper. So it's been fun to like play around with that a child's mind on what makes sense to you. Because if it makes sense to you, and then I can present it to an adult who probably has the same maturity as that child anyway, but
Yep.
isn't able to comprehend the mass amount of influx I can give someone in a 5-minute window, I sell words and envelop that intrigue for someone. Oh my gosh, the conversation goes in so many ways because my next question is they're always like, interesting, what does that mean? Well, what do you think it means? And then
Mhm.
it just answer a question with a question. And then you
Yep.
get into this really cool conversation. You're like, wow, you're actually really spot on. And you just gave me a new marketing tactic, in fact,
Yep.
right? So it's almost field research when you can be better at asking questions and you can process some of the things that you're sharing here. It becomes field research on the response that they give you and then the next steps thereafter.